How you all doing, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 17 4 key game picks. Before I get into my picks for week number 17, I want to make a quick note going into my video for next week. Week 18, it is my special edition video, which we will go over the current playoff scenarios, seedings, and if any divisions haven't been clinched, who I think will win those remaining divisions. It is not my favorite video to do because it's it's probably my worst video of the year because we have to go through the scenarios and everybody could just look it up online. But I just give you my predictions of what happens in week 18 because remember, anything can happen in week number 18. And the way things have gone going into week 17, that video could be short next week because a couple things here. As I get into my thoughts from week number 17, my thoughts from week 16, I should say. How about we had two games that are definitely candidates for game of the year. Rams, Seahawks, and Packers, Bears. Unbelievable football games. Those two games were last weekend, week number 16. I'm just dumbfounded. First on the Rams blowing a 16-point lead to the Seahawks, losing in overtime. The Rams really shot themselves in the foot when they had a complete stranglehold on the Seahawks, and they could have been controlling their own destiny, winning not only the NFC West, but also clinching the number 1 seed. Now the NFC West is now in play because, well, in all honesty, the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers have all clinched playoff berths due to the Lions losing to the Steelers. And I don't want to get into that because obviously that really was an OPI on Ahmad St. Brown. You could say there was controversy in there, but how about DK Metcalf being an idiot, basically swapping out a fan? I really don't know the whole situation of that. That's a whole nother subject here. He's suspended, so that really hurts the Steelers in their in the last 2 weeks, and that is to be determined. But going back to talking about the Packers-Bears game, the Bears getting the onside kick after kicking field goals most of the game. They were down 16-9. And then they recovered the onside kick, which is very rare in today's NFL. I mean, the Bears got really lucky. And then Caleb Williams was Mr. Iceman, getting the Bears to tie the game, going into overtime. The Packers shot themselves in the foot, turning the ball over on downs. And then the Bears won in an overtime with a bomb by Williams to DJ Moore. These are two games that definitely were instant classics. Rams, Seahawks, Packers, Bears, definitely candidates for games of the year. How about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers basically imploding? Losers of 3 straight games, and not only that, the Panthers have taken over the NFC South for the time being because they will meet again in week number 18, and we don't know yet if that game will matter at this point. But you got to warn, and the way it's looking right now, I think Todd Bowles is going to be fired because he's lost control of that locker room. The players are basically going at each other, and it's a mess right now. And if it does come down to that week 18 game, you know who I might pick in that game. But really right now, you got to give the Panthers credit. They fought through this entire season and have managed to basically more than likely steal the NFC South away from the Bucs. When I look at other games that happened over, a lot of it was predictable, and obviously the only thing that this is going to sound silly, if there's one game that's going to matter going into week number 17, it's the Super Tank Bowl. The Giants, of course, losing to the Vikings, and then the Raiders. They almost beat the Texans, which is really surprising. I think the Raiders only lost by 2. It sets up now the ultimate Super Tank Bowl, possibly to decide the number 1 overall pick. Giants and Raiders Super Tank Bowl in week number 17. But other than that, let's talk about week number 17. A lot of important games this week. I can't get through all of them. I can only get through 4, which I'll probably put a text on the fly what I think of some other games, because there were some other games that I felt needed also attention, but I'll just make a quick text on the fly on that. All right, let's begin now with key game number 1. Talking about the Ravens and the Packers. The Packers are a 3-point favorite in this one here, and I would say that is about right. There are question marks going into this football game for both teams' quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. Lamar Jackson had a sort of a back injury in the terrible loss to the Pats. And the Ravens now have been put into a position now where they could miss the playoffs if they lose this game. And the Packers are going to be without Jordan Love. They could be without Jordan Love Saturday because he's still under the protocol. But give Malik Willis some credit, though. He played very well against the Bears. But now there's going to be question marks on how well he does against the Ravens. A quick notes on this one here. If the Packers beat the Ravens, it doesn't matter if the Lions beat the Vikings, because the Packers controlled the edge on that one here in terms of wins in the tie. They could get it. They will clinch a playoff berth if they win. And if the Ravens lose this game and the Steelers beat the Browns, the Ravens are eliminated. They cannot win the AFC North. Couple of key things here. Derrick Henry, obviously, he fumbled in a crucial play last week against the Pats. You got to wonder if Mitchell now is going to get the ball a lot more now besides Henry, when you really need Derrick Henry in this game to get through that Packers defense. And there's no question that Bateman, Hopkins, and Andrew have to help out Huntley if he is the quarterback playing in this game, or Lamar Jackson, because we don't know. Their offense, this team's going to have to play the game of their lives here. And basically, they got to play extremely desperate to stay alive to have a crack at the Steelers one more time. Now, obviously, on the Packers side, they're dealing with so many injuries right now. There's a question if Josh Jacobs is going to play. We don't know. And Romeo Doubs, luckily, he didn't get seriously hurt trying to recover the onside kick, because Romeo Doubs and Musgrave are going to really be a factor in this game to help out Willis. It's a 50-50 toss-up who wins this football game, given the stakes in this game. But who do I see winning this game? I'm going with the Packers. I think the Packers they'll clinch a playoff berth in this one here. I think no question, this would eliminate the Lions here for sure. The Ravens are dealing with so many issues on the field in both sides of the ball. And right now it's a mess. The Ravens have self-imploded big time. And I don't know if they're going to recover this because it's a short week because they play on Saturday night. Especially playing in Lambeau, where it's tough to win there. I'm picking the Packers at -3. They will win, and they will clinch a playoff berth in this game. Key game number 2, Seahawks versus the Panthers. The Seahawks are a 7-point favorite. And the importance of this one here, Seattle trying to hold on to the number 1 seed, and for Carolina, they're trying to wrap up the NFC South, but of course they got to hope the Bucs lose. Darnold was 22 of 34, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in a game that he absolutely had to have last week against the Rams. Bryce Young, 21 of 32, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions in a big victory last week against the Bucs. Seahawks are going to be a little bit stretched thin on defense because they're going to be without Kobe Bryant in this one here, which is critical to their secondary, as they're already stretched thin as it is. But no question that Kenneth Walker, JSN, and Cooper Kupp have to be big in this game to help out Donald in the passing game. And especially for Kenneth Walker to establish the run here against that Panther defense. For the Panthers, they're going to be without David Moore. That really hurts them a little bit. But Rico Duarte has got to get Rico Daldule. I don't know if I said that name. I mean, quote me on that one. He's got to be able to get that run going against the Seahawks here. McMillan, Jalen Coquer have got to break through that Seattle secondary in order to win this game. Who do I see winning this game here? I'm picking the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks, even though they might be stretched thin a little bit defensively, but when you got JSN, Cooper Kupp, in the wide receiver department, and Kenneth Walker being able to establish the ball there, I like the Seahawks a little bit more in this game. It'll be a very close game, but I think now, because the Seahawks I think they want that number 1 seed. There's no question. And that will definitely put the pressure on the Panthers if they lose this game and the Bucs and the Buccaneers beat the Dolphins. And I think that could be the case here. I think it definitely does come down to Week 18 with those two teams. I'm picking the Seahawks at -7. I think they'll beat the Panthers. Key game number 3. Eagles versus the Bills. The Bills are a slight 1.5-point favorite, and I wouldn't be surprised if that number goes to 1, maybe maybe pick them. Jalen Hurts was 22 of 30, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, in an NFC East clinching victory against the Commanders. Josh Allen was 12 of 19, 130 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. They barely beat the Browns. And you could tell that the Bills' offense and defense on both sides of the ball, there are issues, enormous issues going on. But they still got the dub. And notes on this one here, if the Bills lose this game and the Patriots beat the Jets, which we all know that's going to happen, the Pats are definitely going to beat the Jets. That's guaranteed. But if you include the Bills losing, if the Bills were to lose to the Eagles, Pats will beat the Jets for sure. Then New England wraps up the AFC East. For the Eagles to beat the Bills, Saquon Barkley's got to dominate the run against that Bills defense if they're going to win this game. Smith and Goddard have got to break through that Bills secondary, especially with the Bills defense really struggling in this one here. Now, for the Bills to win, obviously, Josh Allen is dealing with some problems in his foot. So I don't know if he's going to be able to be mobile in this game because that does raise a lot of question marks. But obviously, Cook has got to really be big in this game. They got to find a way to establish that run game going for the Bills if they're going to win this game. They got to be able to pound the ball, pound the football if they're going to win. And Shakir, Palmer, and Kincaid and Knox, they got to be able to help Josh Allen out in the passing game and attack that against the Eagles secondary. But the Bills have another issue as well. Prater was a bit hurt, and he was limited. From what I've been reading, he's been limited in practice so far. So if it comes down to a field goal and all that, if Prater is out in this game, the Bills have to figure out what to do in terms of field goals or whatever, because they may have to be going for it on 4th down just to survive in this game. So there are some big question marks going on for the Bills here. But when I think about it, though, the game is in Buffalo. It's another tough place to win, even though the Patriots did win up there earlier in the season. I'm still going to pick the Bills. I don't really know if the Eagles have figured things out because they had the Commanders and the Raiders their last two their previous 2 games, which they had 2 games to figure out their offense. I really don't know if they figured it out yet. And Philly's defense has already been on the field a lot throughout most of the season. They're probably getting gassed already. I'm picking the Bills here at -1.5 to keep their AFC East hopes alive to try to steal the division. And for Philly, I mean, this game is really big more for the Bills as much for the Eagles. I mean, both teams are already in their respective conference. They're both in the playoffs. So I don't know if this game will be a high scoring affair or anything like that. But the Bills, I think, want this game more because they're trying to get a better playoff position and hopefully maybe have a shot at the AFC East still. So I'm going to pick the Bills in this one here. I think the Bills stay alive for a chance at the AFC East. And finally, key game number 4, it is the Bears versus the 49ers. The 49ers are a 3-point favorite in this one here, and that number might go down to 2.5. Caleb Williams was 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and in a big come from behind victory against the Packers. Brock Purdy, 25 of 34, 5 touchdowns. He really dominated the Colts last Monday night. In 1 interception, he had passed for 295 yards. Scenario in this one here, if the Bears do upset the 49ers, they will clinch the NFC North. Or they could still clinch the NFC North if the Packers lose to the Ravens. The Bears defense has got to find a way to really stop the 49ers offense here because really they still have issues in the defense. But if they're going to win this game, DeAndre Swift has got to be able to get the run going against that 49er defense. DJ Moore and Loveland are going to be targeted a lot because the Bears are already stretched thin at wide receivers. For the 49ers to win, there's a question mark going with Kittle and Purcell because they both were injured against the Colts. And there are question marks that they're going to play. And that could There really could be a problem in terms of the passing game. Obviously, McCaffrey will probably be getting more of the ball a lot in this game, if that's going to be the case. And of course, Jennings also has to be big in this one here for the 49ers to get the W. Tough to say who wins this football game here because the Bears continue to have that cardiac feel, and they're giving everybody in Chicago heart attacks every week. And it wouldn't surprise me if they get the dub here. I'm going to go on the upset here. I think the Bears will beat the 49ers. If the 49ers have trouble stopping Caleb Williams, if he gets mobile, this is going to be a long game for the 49ers. And it is the Sunday night game as well. So it's tough to say who comes out the victor here. And it's really a toss-up. I'm not very sure on this pick here. 49ers are favored in this game as they should be. But I think the Bears will beat the 49ers. They'll find a way to beat them. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game as well in this one here. And I'm going to go on the upset. I think the Bears somehow will find a way to get the victory against the 49ers. And I think they'll wrap up the NFC North. I'm going to go with the Bears +3 to beat the 49ers. All right, everybody. That's it for my 4 key game picks. I'll make some quick notes here. I'm not going to do any text on the fly as I look at the other important games like the Texans and the Chargers. I think the Texans defense will get to the Chargers. And I think the Jaguars will beat the Colts. I don't think the Colts have anything left in the tank. I think the Colts will be eliminated. And the Texans and the Jaguars still have a shot. To who wins the AFC South. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys next week when I do my Week 18 special edition video. Have a wonderful Christmas, everybody, with your families. And I'll talk to you guys next week when we get into my Week 18 special edition vehicle. Take care and enjoy your football weekend.